Hey everyone, Chief Meteorologist Melissa Fry here at Alaska's news source in the First Alert Weather Center, and we have had some big weather this week. I feel like we've had some big weather this winter, and unfortunately it's not over. We do still have this series of storms pushing in, so my goal is to make sure that you're not caught off guard by any weather coming in, especially when it's big and dangerous weather. So we're going to roll through that forecast, let you know what to expect for the weekend. I'll also highlight where we're not going to see extreme weather in case you want to get out and enjoy some of this beautiful sunshine, get some of this February vitamin D from the sun. The days are getting longer. We can see that spring is not too far off, but it is also still February. It's still winter in Alaska, and we know that comes with some extreme weather from time to time in certain parts of the state. So let's get right to it and look at those big weather headlines, what you want to be prepared for next. The round of record snow that we have been seeing in the interior is finally coming to an end. We do have still high winds continuing in south central. If you're in Anchorage, you probably noticed that. In southeast, those winds are going to ramp up in downtown Juneau and in Douglas once we get into this weekend, even starting this evening. And then we do have another storm system that is on the way for the western side of the state. That is going to bring heavy snow and high wind this weekend, first to the western side of the state, specifically this time the biggest impacts will be from about Nome to Kotzebue and north to Utqiagvik, and then we'll see those more extreme conditions once again, yes, pushing back into the interior as well. We have already been setting records for the interior over the last 2 days. It's 11.5 inches of snow that has fallen. That beat the previous record actually yesterday of 6.5 inches. The previous record was 3 inches set back in 1962, and so far this season, now in Fairbanks, we're up to 76 inches of snow. That is more than 2 feet above what is normal for this point in the season. If you've been watching, you know that we had record snow just over the weekend with over 11 inches of snow in Fairbanks, and then that additional 11 inches that we picked up over the past 2 days. Now, Juneau had that crazy December with record-setting snow, but then it turned to rain for much of January and for all of February. But still, even with that, you did pick up another 5 inches yesterday, up to 109.3 inches now for the season. That is nearly 40 inches above normal for Juneau, and more is coming. And for Anchorage, Anchorage is sitting a little more closer to normal, seeing 65.6 inches of snow. Our average is 58.7, so sitting just what is that, about 6 inches or 7 inches above normal for this time of year. Now, I was curious, and some of you were asking me this: how many days have we had with measurable snow? And these numbers are pretty impressive. So for Anchorage, 31 days this season we have had measurable snow on the ground. For Fairbanks, it's been 46 days with that measurable snowfall, so that's 1/10 of an inch or more falling that day. And for Juneau, it's much less at 25. It shows you just how many big snowfall days Juneau has had, because Juneau has, again, the most in the state with well over 100 inches, but all of that fell in just 25 days, where Fairbanks, that was spread out across 46 days. So you've been seeing the snow falling more frequently there in Fairbanks. Okay, if you are in South Central, especially for the coastal areas and from Anchorage to Kenai, you know it is windy, and it is kind of brutal with the wind chill. It feels very cold outside. 40 miles per hour is the peak wind gust so far in Anchorage, even a little bit stronger closer to downtown. 54 is the peak wind gust so far in Palmer. We've had winds to 45 miles per hour in Kenai, 58 miles per hour in Seward, and then also seeing those high winds in Valdez today, nearly hurricane force wind gusts there, and these high winds are going to stick with us here into this evening. Here's a look at the strong winds that we've been seeing across the state. Kodiak, hurricane force winds for you again today. You've been under high wind warnings now for 2 days straight, with wind gusts there now to 76 miles per hour. You can see those winds beginning to ramp up in southeast, and we're still seeing strong winds down the west coast, gusting today to 38 miles per hour in Cape Lisburne, but not nearly as strong as the last 2 days when we had those winds over 70 miles per hour for you. I'm just checking in here on Facebook really quickly, and it looks like we have some people chiming in. I want to say hello to you, Arnold in Gamble, one of the spots that we've been seeing heavy snow, high wind, blizzard conditions for most of this week. Arnold, you're saying the next storm is already there. This next storm, it is going to bring in some big impacts. Gamble, you are the first to see it. The storm's pushing in out of Russia, and I will have more information on that in just a moment. Hello to you, Ren and Craig, wondering how conditions are for you. How much snow did you end up there in Craig yesterday? Very little, Ren. You're already answering my questions when I ask them. Very little, just an inch maybe. Okay. And then off of the Susitna River south of the District Lake Landing, 26 miles, winds up to 33 miles per hour. Nancy, thank you for that information. The winds are stronger as you head closer to Knik Arm, and then as you head closer to just the coastal areas for Seward, and as you head down into Whittier. So as we move into tonight, we're still going to see those strong winds across South Central, and here's the reason why. We do have high pressure out to the west and low pressure to the east, and with high pressure you always get clockwise flow, but with low pressure you get counterclockwise flow. And when those two different pressure areas are right up next to each other, like what we're seeing here right now, you get those really strong winds because the air is just forced, it's squeezed together. And so on this map, all of the areas that are highlighted in purple, that shows you where winds are up over 70 miles per hour. The red areas show you 60. So again, in South Central, we're seeing those gap winds, those strong north winds that will continue through tonight, but will start to improve as we head into the weekend. So if you're planning on doing some winter recreation and you're worried about the high wind in South Central, the good news is it'll improve after tonight. It'll still be breezy on Saturday, but then much calmer conditions once we get into Sunday. Now out west, with that next storm system pushing in, you're already seeing those high winds ramping up tonight into tomorrow. You can see locations along Seward Peninsula, back up north of Kotzebue, Point Lake, Cape Lisburne, all areas that will likely see those strong winds Friday night into Saturday. So we do have new first alert weather days, and when you see this symbol here, first alert weather day, that is simply our way of communicating with you that there's something impactful coming to your community and it's time to pay attention and likely time to start preparing for those incoming impacts. Now, for those of you in the western side of the state, you've already been dealing with this so much this week, but yes, this is a whole new storm pushing in from Norton Sound north to Utqiagvik. I've added first alert weather days for Saturday and for Sunday. I want you to be prepared for another round of heavy snow and high winds. I'll have a closer look at those specifics here in just a moment. And for Seward Peninsula, it's going to warm up as the storm pushes through. So even a chance for some freezing rain is possible Saturday into Sunday. Now for the interior, this storm is headed your direction, so you should be prepared late Sunday into Monday, even continuing into early Tuesday for heavy snow there. We're talking 8 to 16 inches of snow for the interior, again on top of what you've already seen. I know you're just working to plow out and to shovel out the snow that you currently have, but again, you really just have the rest of tonight, tomorrow, and Sunday morning to take care of the snow that's on the ground before this next round pushes in. So we do have blizzard warnings in effect for those areas I talked about out closer to the Bering Strait coast and to Kotzebue. We have winter storm warnings in effect already for the interior locations of Seward Peninsula up to the North Slope and for the Brooks Range. And then we also have winter storm watches in effect from the Yukon Delta, Norton Sound, all the way into the interior, again, for that likelihood that we will see that heavy snow. But for South Central and Southeast, no longer worried about the snow, and we don't have to be. We will see dry conditions through the middle part of next week, but you should again still be prepared for those high winds. Seward, Whittier, Portage Valley, Valdez, Thompson Pass, even into Anchorage, Kenai, and Palmer. Still seeing those strong winds through this evening. For downtown Juneau, this is a Taku wind event. Those high winds are going to start increasing later this evening, continuing into early Monday morning. You should be prepared for wind gusts there to about 70 miles per hour. So again, the impact impacts we're seeing from the wind is ongoing right now, tonight into tomorrow. Those impacts we're talking about up north and out west, those really kicking in this weekend. So south central high wind, we're talking 30 to 45-mile-per-hour wind gusts inland, up to 70 miles per hour out when you head closer to the coast. For southeast, it is a high wind watch. Looking ahead to this next storm Friday evening into Monday morning. Be prepared for those wind gusts in downtown Juneau to 70 miles per hour. For the western side of the state, again, those blizzard warnings in effect for this weekend. We're talking that heavy snow with strong winds moving in. 6 to 18 inches of snow is what you should be prepared for out west. And for the interior, winter storm watch is in effect. This is an early heads up this Sunday through Tuesday. You should be prepared for that next round of heavy snow pushing in. So as one storm is wrapping up in southeast, we have that next one already pushing into the western side of the state. You can see that first band of snow moves through overnight tonight into tomorrow morning, pushing into the Brooks Range, but it doesn't stop there. We continue to see that moisture into the weekend for Nome, for Kotzebue, for Seward Peninsula. And then again, it's really the second half of the day on Sunday that we will see those winds and the snow picking back up into the interior as well. That continues all the way through at least early Monday. Now looking further south, when you get into the Yukon Delta and the Kuskokwim Delta, these impacts are not until Monday, but you should be prepared for heavy snow pushing in once we get into Monday afternoon. And then all of those areas that you see highlighted here in pink, that does include snow rain mix and some freezing rain. So pretty messy, sloppy conditions. Again, be prepared for that early next week. So any preparations that you can do now ahead of this storm to, again, just start preparing for that heavy snow. If you can shovel and plow and clean up what's on the ground now to prepare for what's coming next, that's probably a good idea. And as for the wind, you've already been seeing the extreme wind out west, but another round of that is coming. So if anything got knocked loose from the last storm, now is a good time for the western side of the state to start preparing again for those winds to really start increasing later tonight and Saturday. For south central, the good news again, we're just about done with those strong winds in southeast, especially in downtown Juneau. That's where you should start preparing for that next storm system pushing in. So in terms of snowfall totals, again, there's not much left for the interior, south central, or southeast, but as we look at the impacts from this next storm just through Sunday night, you can see more than a foot of snow is possible for Nome and for Kotzebue, and more than 6 inches just through Sunday evening for the interior. And then we'll continue to add to those snowfall totals even heading into Monday for the interior. Southeast, good news is the sunshine sticking around. That's not changing. Again, we will see some breezy winds across southeast, but it's downtown Juneau where we will see those wind gusts to 70 miles per hour. Into the interior, mostly sunny. It is dry, but it is cold. We're going to see temperatures dropping to between 20 and 40 below zero tonight, and it will stay cold into the weekend. You will warm up those Sunday into Monday when that next storm system starts to push in. For those of you on the slope, already starting to see that heavier snow pushing in, especially for Wainwright and for Utqiagvik. For Anaktuvuk Pass and for Dead Horse, that'll hold off until the second half of the day. We're also going to see those wind gusts between about 20 and 30 miles per hour for you. Out west, be prepared for wind gusts to at least 50 miles per hour in Kotzebue, 45 in Gamble. Again, heavy snow is likely for you there tomorrow. Temperatures really ranging quite a bit from those lower teens near Kotzebue to mid-30s in Gamble. So even some rain mixing in Gamble is possible. Holding on to dry and mostly sunny conditions for Bethel and for McGrath on Saturday. But again, that will change once we get into Sunday. Also still holding on to relatively calm conditions through Bristol Bay region all the way into the Alaska Peninsula and into the Aleutians. 35 degrees in Cold Bay with sunny conditions. Hard to beat that in mid-February. As for South Central, the sunshine is not going anywhere this weekend. I personally am looking forward to a day off with the sunshine, hoping to get out and do something out there. It will still be chilly. The Kenai Peninsula, teens and 20s. The good news is, though, again, the wind still breezy, but not as extreme as what we're seeing out there today. That is also true for Prince William Sound. High temperatures just in the teens and 20s. Still seeing those winds on Saturday gusting to 30 miles per hour in Whittier. up to 45 miles per hour in Valdez, 25 in the Copper River Basin. For the valley, winds starting to improve, especially in the second half of the day, but likely still breezy there in Palmer and out near the Hay Flats with gusts to 45 miles per hour. You can see it's chilly, back below zero tonight with high temperatures into the mid-teens for you. And for Anchorage, sunshine again, it's not going anywhere. We'll see those temperatures into the lower single digits and even below zero on the east side of town tonight. A little bit breezy tomorrow, but not the high wind like we've been seeing today. High temperatures topping out in the mid-teens. If you have plans to head up to Hilltop or to Arctic Valley, to Skitok or to Alyeska, it is going to be beautiful. I would probably want the face coverings tomorrow and the extra warm layers just because of the chilly temperatures and those breezy winds, but otherwise it should be really pleasant on the slopes. And looking ahead to the next 7-day stretch, again, sunshine is here for the weekend. We'll see some cloud cover as we head back into early next week, and we will see chances for a little light snow once we get into the middle part of the week. That storm, though, doesn't look to really impact South Central, and that has been the case. We have kind of lucked out in South Central when it comes to the extreme weather, at least over the last 10 days. It's really been hitting the western side of the state and into the interior, and then even making it all the way into Southeast. So for our viewers and readers and watchers in South Central, thank you for your patience while we cover the weather for all of these areas that are still seeing extreme conditions. We know that that extreme weather moves about the state. We all get it eventually, right? And we're definitely in it together. But I hope you have a great weekend, and thank you so much for joining us here. If you happen to be watching on Facebook or YouTube Live and don't realize, we have a streaming channel. You can get that on Fire TV, on Roku, on Apple TV. It's a free app. You can just download it on your TV, and you can get these live updates if you happen to be near a television and prefer to watch that way instead of on a computer or on your telephone. Maybe you want to allow that second device to be free for other things. So just want to let you know that we do have that available.